We are going to discuss the general environment, which are uncontrollable forces. The best way to understand the general environment is through a process called SWOT analysis. This is where a business looks at strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So let's define what those are. Strengths are things that we can control. I can choose to hire more people. I can choose to increase the advertising budget. I can choose my pricing model, etc. When we think of strengths and weaknesses, one of the easiest ways to keep in mind is that if I look at a strength, I think of the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place or distribution, and promotion. These are all things that a business can choose. I can determine what products I want to sell. I can determine my pricing. I can decide where I want to distribute. Am I going to promote or not promote? These are all things that I have control of. On the same hand, weaknesses are also considered part of the 4 P's. So when we look at these four, businesses typically cannot be excellent in all four of these areas. So, for instance, if I have a product that is going to be competing as a low-cost leader, I'm not going to be able to get the pricing that a luxury good would. Also, if I have a situation where I'm trying to be a low-cost leader, I'm probably not going to be able to promote. So my product could be sold at a low price, and I have high volume, and I may have excellent distribution, but I'm not going to be able to promote that because promotion is going to add to the price of the product. When you think of this, most businesses will have 1 to 2 strengths and 1 to 2 weaknesses. It's virtually impossible for one business to have strengths in all four areas. So strengths and weaknesses are things we can control. And again, we choose what those are that we're going to be strengths in, and we're going to have weaknesses. Opportunities and threats, on the other hand, they are things that we don't have control of. So opportunities are external factors that can be leveraged to your benefit. So if something happens in the general environment that you're not used to doing, then you can use your company's strengths to address that. For instance, your knowledge, your branding, your distribution, company culture. All of these things can be used to address external factors and become opportunities. Threats, on the other hand, these are things that we cannot control, but we need to be aware of. So, for instance, natural disasters, changes in law and regulation, changes in taste, technological changes, etc. These are things that we need to be aware, so whenever these external changes happen, we will be better suited to handle those. In the general environment, I'm going to use these 5 areas to define those uncontrollables. You will find other examples where you'll have 6, you might have 8, you might have 5, but they'll be slightly different. But these cover the majority of what change comes from, which comes from external factors. So let's take a look at each one of these. The economic condition. General economic conditions can be unemployment, interest rates, inflation. Again, these are things that happen externally, but we have to react to them. For instance, during high unemployment times, staples may do very well, but luxury goods not well. And so if I have a staple good, I continue to sell. But if I have a luxury good, I may very well have to offer some type of incentive to get people to spend their money. Technological. These are new developments and methods for transforming resources into goods and services. We have changing work arrangements. Hybrid and working from home has been a big change. Smartphones, online shopping, online learning, online working is from COVID. Smartphones, online shopping, online learning are all direct results from the invention of the internet. Sociocultural. Influence and trends originating in a country's, a society's, or a culture's human relationship and values that may affect an organization or industry. This can include changing attitudes. For instance, marijuana, same-sex marriage. Both of these at one time were considered illegal and attitudes were not positive. As time went on, we now have legal medical marijuana. Some places have legal recreational marijuana. Same-sex marriage is more accepted than it's ever been. Now, this isn't to say that there aren't detractors from these, but in general, society has come to accept them. Also, you will see changing demographics. So, for instance, you may see a population getting older or younger. Makes a difference on what products and goods you sell. You can also have change in culture. You can have many changes that have to do with demographics that will cause a shift or cause a business to react to those particular changes. Again, external factors. Political legal forces. Changes in the way politics shape laws and laws shape the opportunities and threats to an organization. Change in laws and regulations. For instance, the Affordable Care Act. This made quite a bit of difference and change to people in business whenever they were trying to provide health insurance to their employees. It made a difference to the employees. Cost went up. EPA regulations. You can think of greenhouse gases. You can think of other regulations that have to do with green energy. These things have changed the way that we conduct business. And again, those are external. We did not cause those, but we have to be aware and react. The competitive environment, this is where different businesses compete by using various promotional strategies, marketing channels, and pricing methods within a given market. So just as an example, when we look at the competitive environment, we're going to deal with direct competitors and indirect competitors. So with Coke and Pepsi, that's in the soft drink industry, they're both sweet cola drinks. People may say they like one tastes better than the other, but in general, it is a situation where they have built it on brand. Coca-Cola is into more of an intimate and family type marketing promotion when you think of Coke. Pepsi is fun and excitement. They compete in that particular manner. Also, what one does, the other will do. So if Coca-Cola sponsors NASCAR, Pepsi will sponsor NASCAR. If one does a marketing campaign, the other will do a marketing campaign. Now, the other thing that we have to keep aware of is that indirect competitors can be a concern of the competitive environment. So, for instance, we look at Coke and Pepsi. They are direct competitors, but there are indirect competitors like coffee, bottled water, and energy drinks. And at one time, Coke and Pepsi did not have to worry about such things. But as the coffee market expanded, the bottled water market expanded, and energy drinks came on, then all of a sudden you had more beverage options, and it would start cutting into Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola at one time was only worried what Pepsi did. Now they worry about what some of the indirect competitors do, and how they have reacted to that is that they use their brand, they use their distribution to get into bottled water and energy drinks, coffee. They use their corporate strengths to address a change in the environment, the general environment, and they became competitive in those areas. Which brings us to the takeaways. We cannot control the factors of the general environment. These are things that happen outside of our control. But we need to be aware of the factors of the general environment. Each one of those can cause a change that a business will need to react to. All change comes from the general environment. If there was no external change, then we'd continue to do the same things over and over. Changes in the general environment can be good or they can be bad. So it depends on what your business's strengths and weaknesses are, and the ability to address those external factors makes a big difference. Just real briefly, insurance companies were very happy about the Affordable Care Act. Pharmaceutical companies were very happy about the COVID-19. Because of their expertise in those areas, they were able to succeed.